Hello everyone, welcome once again to my channel. This is another video that is part 2 of To Sir with Love. In the previous video, we have studied different aspects of the novel, that is, about the novel, about the author, theme of the novel, about the major and minor characters in the story. Now, let us see the detailed story of the novel. This is the list of major and minor characters in the novel. Although this list is long, you might think that we haven't discussed all these characters. But all these characters are present throughout the novel, and let me remind you that we are studying only chapter 17 that is prescribed in your syllabus. These are the students and teachers that we discussed in the previous video. You must remember the character description of at least main characters because there can be a question based on the character description. The questions on this topic will be based on plot, structure, theme, setting, language, and characters. We all know that despite Braithwaite's academic achievements and his experience in the RAF, he could not find work in his field because of discrimination. Braithwaite claims that during the war, as a pilot, he was treated as an equal. Only after the war, as he tried to find work, he was confronted with the ugliness of racism. British companies would not hire him because he was black. He had interviewed for numerous positions and he was always told that, I'm sorry, we cannot use you. Sometimes he was given an additional explanation that the company cannot employ a black man to supervise white people. And apart from his 6 years of military service, his skin color had never been an issue, but now it made him feel that although he was British, he was not a Briton. The racial prejudice that Braithwaite encountered in the post World War II, England played a major role in his decision to enter teaching. Discrimination against him did not end. However, when he accepted the teaching position in the early months of Greenslade, for example, he was refused a room that he wanted to rent when the woman who had advertised the room saw his skin color and she refused to give him a room on a rent. Due to this ill treatment and racism, Braithwaite too started feeling hatred towards white people. To support himself financially, he took a job as a teacher in the Greenslade School located in the East End of London. His students were poor and tough white kids of working class families. He was the only black teacher in the school. Since he had no training in how to be a teacher, he had to learn on the job. Braithwaite transformed his experiences at the school into an autobiographical novel published in 1959. To Sir with Love explores the challenges that Braithwaite faces with both his fellow teachers and the students. The school had a high turnover of teachers because many could not cope with the behavior and attitudes of the students. Some of the male teachers did not last more than a term or two. In the beginning of the novel, it is shown that Braithwaite roams around the streets of the London in search of the job, and when he gets a job of a teacher, his vision of teaching in a school is like one of the straight rows of desks and neat and well mannered, obedient children. And what he found was they nearly all wore a kind of unofficial uniform, while the school and the students do not have a good reputation in the community. The children in this area live in poverty and that's why they are poorly fed. They do not have good clothes to wear. They can't afford much luxury and by the very nature of their environment, they are subject to many pressures and tensions and which tend to affect naturally their spiritual, moral and physical growth. Hence, the students were disrespectful, ill mannered, undisciplined, and mischievous. Braithwaite writes that there were three stages in his relationship with students. First, he received the silent treatment from his students. The students would do whatever task he gave them, but without interest or enthusiasm. In the second phase, the students tested Braithwaite in many ways. He calls it the noisy period. While he was speaking, A student would lift the lid of a desk and let it fall with a bang. In the third phase, he noticed that there was tremendous change in the language of students. The language has almost become a foul language, a vulgar language. And the students kept on harassing the teacher because they wanted him to leave the job and run away. Braithwaite also becomes rough. He considers his students disrespectful, and his students consider him to be an arrogant outsider, unfamiliar with the social environment in which they have grown up. The students harass Braithwaite, banging their desks while he is lecturing, and keeps on torturing, doing something or the other thing. Braithwaite realized that being rough on students is not the answer to the problem. Then he changes tactics and he announces that every girl in the class should be referred as Miss and the boys should be addressed by their surnames and his students should call him sir. At first, his students find this very ridiculous, but after a few weeks they get used to it and a quite positive change is found in their behavior. From that day onwards, Braithwaite's relationship with the students changed completely. Education became learner centered, and students started taking interest in learning. By the time they were ready to graduate and face the world, he had impacted their lives. Miss Joseph actually expresses her gratitude towards Braithwaite. To increase the cultural exposure of the students, Braithwaite takes them on the field trips to museums and theatres to which many of the students have never been. And a white female teacher, Gillian Blanchard, accompanies the class on these excursions. In the chapter 17, Braithwaite narrates the half yearly report of the Students' Council, in which the students of the school report to the faculty and other students on what they have been studying. The half yearly report program was an important event for the Students' Council. The main purpose of the event was to analyze and discuss the academic progress of the students. Through their presentations and reports, the students would outline what they had learned in their classes, and the teachers would thus obtain a clear picture of the depth of their understanding. The report was thus crucial in deciding the structure of the remaining academic year. Another significant aspect of the report was the panel discussion. A panel of teachers would be selected by the students to whom questions about the reports would be asked. Students had complete freedom in choosing the names and number of the teachers on the panel, but the teachers would not be told about their selection beforehand. This served the purpose of assuring the students that they too had the power to shape the academic progress of themselves. In addition to these primary objectives, the program also provided the students with the perfect platform to showcase their organization skills, get more involved in the activities of the school, voice their opinions, as well as raise their concerns. If the half yearly Students' Council program was so important, just imagine the anxiety and eagerness of the Braithwaite for it. As Braithwaite students had no basic academic skills, they had no manners, he had tried much for the progress of students. Now he wanted to see the performance and progress of his students. He was going to witness this program for the first time, so Braithwaite was very much anxious for this program. The Students' Council program was arranged and presented and controlled by the students themselves. Author observed the activities of the students. All the students were smartly dressed and polished. Miss Joseph and Denham were the important officials for this occasion, as they were the senior most students. They had allocated the tasks to the students in a business-like manner. Finally, the day had arrived. It was November 15. This was an important day in the calendar of Greenslade School. Braithwaite was aware about this program, but as a teacher, this was his first time to attend such kind of program. That day, bell rang at 10 a.m. All the students assembled in the auditorium, but there was no assembly that day. Miss Joseph and Denham were presiding along with the headmaster, Mr. Florian. They were the students of Braithwaite's class. The meeting began with a speech by Mr. Florian, the headmaster of the school, who outlined the aims and policies of the school. His presentation, though lengthy, was well received and was followed by a short address by Miss Joseph, who outlined the council's purpose and its activities. Mr. Florian focused on the aims and policies of the school, and he also spoke about the important contribution that students make for their development. He appreciated his students for their contribution and efforts in their own development and raising the level of the school. He also appealed on the improvement in the conduct, cleanliness, and pursuit of knowledge. At the end of the speech, he wished success to the students and left the stage. He received tremendous applause for his speech. Braithwaite was attentive to the speech of Mr. Florian, and he just felt that the headmaster is so much dedicated to the school and his students. He seemed to be a very good administrator and responsible to his position. The program was so neatly organized that the moment Mr. Florian finished his speech, Miss Joseph quickly reached the stage and gave a short explanation about the Student Council's purpose and activities. She said that each class would report through its representatives on what they have been studying in the first half of the year, which had begun after Easter. Each subject had its own representative. Those representatives would speak on the given topic. After completing the report presentation, a panel of teachers would be invited on the stage to answer random questions of the students. The selection of the teachers for the panel will be kept secret till the end. After this introduction, the report presentation started with the youngest classes. As the youngest class was the first to present its report, they were mainly 12 years old students who had recently joined school a year back. Being the youngest, the children of this class were little shy and frightened, and they lacked stage daring as well, but somehow they managed to present their reports very well. As each succeeding class presented its report, it became clear that as the students progressed through the ranks, there was a noticeable increase in their ability to express themselves. Mr. Braithwaite's class, being the oldest, was last to present its report. One after the other class presented the report. In all the reports, the emphasis was on what they had understood rather than on what they were expected to learn. Now it was the turn of the Braithwaite's class, and he was so anxious and nervous. Then Denham took the proceedings. He called out the name of the representative of different subjects. These are the names of the students. They are the representatives of those subjects and they would be speaking on that particular topic. Mr. Braithwaite was so happy and felt proud to see confident Denham, who addressed girls as Miss. He felt that behaving with courtesy would set an example for the younger students. As their names were announced, all students headed towards the stage and took their seats. Once again, Miss Joseph took the stage and began the class report by stating the common theme underlying all their lessons, the brotherhood of mankind and the interdependence that exists among the nations of the world. Then she announced the name of next representative, that is Potter. Potter presented the report on mathematics and he noticed that the use of common weights and measures around the world was an example of the greater understanding that existed among the people of different nations. He focuses on how greater understanding in the world is fostered by the use of common weights and measures. Sapiano spoke about the nature study and especially the study of pace like black rot on wheat, bollweed on cotton, the Colorado beetle on potatoes. He said that scientists from all over the world are making research on different variants of pest, their behavior, breeding habits, migration, etc. Well, Miss Peg and Jackson discussed geography, while Jackson focused mainly on how the unequal distribution of minerals and vegetables around the world led to interdependence among nations. Miss Pegg dealt with the human relationships, highlighting the problems of the post World War. She made references of thousands of refugees and efforts of UNICEF. When Furman's name was announced, he made a signal to someone off the stage, and two students appeared on the stage with a skeleton. Arrangements were done to hang it to the hook. The skull started rotating, and younger students in the auditorium started laughing over it. So it was a kind of a comic relief for everybody in the auditorium. All were anxious to know what Furman is actually going to do with the skeleton. But he calmly began his lecture, that is, speech, and told that it was a female skeleton, but he is not sure that the skeleton is of a French woman or a Chinese or a Greek or a German woman. He proved that the basic structure or the blueprint of all human beings is same no matter what the color of the skin is. So Furman basically proved that all human beings are equal and the color, the complexion does not matter at all. He had won the minds of everyone by his speech. Miss Pamela Day's presentation after the Furman was like an anticlimax. It seemed little bit fade, but she spoke about the problems of humanity like sickness and diseases and of the advantages of interchanging of knowledge, advices and assistance. Miss Todd offered a historical perspective, especially the Reformation in England, to emphasize the need for tolerance towards other cultures and beliefs. So, this was a very good point that she mentioned. She talked about the Reformation of England and told about the struggles of men of independent spirit against clerical domination and of their efforts established religious traditions. From those early beginnings, gradually grew the idea of tolerance towards other cultures, and now the common interest of people is to study and understand those cultures. Now it was Denham's turn. He delivered a shocking report as he criticized the structure and general pattern of the PT and games class. He complained that the school lacks space for the games and the activities, and the school doesn't have interesting activities. Hence, he concluded saying that the PT was irrelevant, it was pointless and routine. There was nothing new to attract students to the ground. Other boys from the crowd were cheering at him, means they were supporting Denham. An important feature of the half yearly report program was the panel discussion, which was scheduled at the end of the program. And finally, the panel was chosen to answer the random questions of the students. There were three teachers in the panel: Mr. Weston, Mrs. Dell Evans, and Miss Phillips. And those panel were supposed to answer the questions of the senior students. The questions mainly came from the senior students as the younger students were not confident enough to raise the questions to the panel, and the teachers had not been made aware of the questions beforehand. Among the three teachers of the panel, Miss Phillips was the most informed and she answered the questions with honesty and authority. She also managed to skillfully tackle some of the questions posed to other teachers in order to help them and save them from embarrassment. In comparison, other teachers like Mr. Weston put no efforts in looking presentable and also tried to escape Furman's and Denham's blunt questioning by talking loudly and pretending to be offended so as to avoid offering any other valid explanations. He could not justify the need for the PT class when Denham argued that the class offered no physical benefits. Once again, it was Miss Phillip who stepped in and successfully defended the need for PT class, thereby outwitting Denham, who then admitted defeat and then gave up on this matter. Braithwaite says that Miss Phillips proved to be the coolest and the smartest teachers. She saved others from the embarrassment and she told that every subject, including PT and games, had been carefully designed and fitted into the teaching timetable so that each student can get maximum benefit from it. She mentioned that some students who are already physically fit may not require, but others do need PT who are weaker. She added that it is an exercise of the body as well as of the mind. The whole timetable in the school is designed to help you in the world after you leave from here. However, Miss Phillips stepped in and defended the need for all the students to do PT. Although Denham made some good points, but soon he was outwitted by Miss Phillips and he gave up on that matter finally. After the question answer session by the students and a panel of teachers, Mr. Florian, the headmaster, went on the stage and closed the proceedings by addressing students once again to express his pride in all children, and he expressed his deep appreciation for their efforts. Mr. Braithwaite was immensely happy and satisfied to see the confidence of his students and the way they had presented their reports and questioned to the panel. He had actually never expected this much from his students. Just by bringing some positive changes in the teaching style and behavioral changes, he could bring out the transformation among his students. So, here we come to an end of chapter 17 of To Serve with Love. So, here the writer has beautifully handled different themes like racism and student teacher relationship and some other themes as well. So, hope you have understood the story very well. Thank you so much for your patient listening and all the very best